going to educate us about advocating.
Great, thanks, Kylie. Appreciate it. Well, hey everyone. Thanks for letting me come and speak with you tonight. I met Miss Corder, I guess maybe just tail end of last year, beginning of the summer, the school year, beginning of the summer, and talked about our program and an opportunity for all of FCCLA in New Mexico to participate in advocating for autism acceptance. So it was really great, Kylie, to see those questions and about advocacy to kind of set up the presentation tonight. So we have a really cool way for you to earn your community service hours advocating for autistic adults and autism in general. And as a part of it, there's a way for you to actually not only earn your community service hours, but help us with our mission moving forward to train, educate, and employ autistic adults. So I think one of the best things I could do tonight is sort of show the process. Ms. Corder, you'll be able to share this presentation. And what I'm really looking to do is to connect with as many FCCLA chapter leaders as I can, and then invite those chapters to participate in our program. So I'm going to walk you through our presentation, and then I can answer some questions if you have it, and there's a way for you actually to register to get started. We can show you that process. So if you don't mind, I'll share my screen and walk you through what we've been working on at Luv Michael. So as Kylie mentioned, we are a granola bakery. We're headquartered in New York City, and we're now expanding across the country. We have our headquarters in New York City proper, and we have a location in Southampton, and we're beginning to move out across the country and around the world. And I really like to start this presentation with a question, and that is, how many of you expect to have a meaningful job after graduating high school or college? And you can just, thumbs up or chat in, but I can make the assumption across the board for all of us, that's what's on our mind, is that when we get out of school, that there's going to be meaningful work ahead for us. Unfortunately, for the autism community, that's not a reality. 90% of this community is either underemployed or unemployed. And it really happens at age 22 is when things really change for the autistic adult, as they're sort of aging out of the transition school program. At 22 years old, they're no longer eligible to participate in state-funded education programs. And it's a devastating time for families, because that's when families actually call this falling off the cliff. They sort of had all this support, and then they're sort of fend for themselves, left on their own to figure it out. And it's really, really tough. One thing of note that's a key difference with Luv Michael and what we do with our nonprofit is many organizations that focus on autism tend to focus on autistic children, which is wonderful. Almost no one focuses on adults. And we're adults so much longer than we're children. And some of the problems that the adult community is facing are really devastating. And it's particularly right around this time that people start to slip into depression, to isolation. We're seeing a 400% higher suicide rate in autistic adults. So there's something really happening here. And as a community, we have to come together to help one another. And that's where advocacy really does come in, and part of what your volunteer work can do, because we're not talking about a small number of people. Current rates are 1 in 50 kids are being identified with autism spectrum disorder. And, our story, what I'd like to share with you is our story really begins with Michael. So yes, Luv Michael is the name of the organization. We make this amazing granola, but that's Michael. He's the young man that inspired me to be here tonight to speak with you. Michael's pictured with his mom and dad, our founders, Dr. Lisa Liberatore and Dr. Dimitri Caceres, and Mike's older brother, Alexander. And as a family, they were facing all of those things that I put on that slide prior to this one. And it's, a really challenging time for them as a family, and thinking about what was Michael going to do once he graduated. And as they sought out opportunities, there were none. And they decided to create them. If it didn't exist for their son, they were going to create it, not only for their own son, but for others. And that's what they did. And the reason we did a granola bakery is because Michael happened to just love to cook, and he was really good at it. And Dr. Lisa and Dr. Dimitri figured out, hey, this would be a great pathway. Michael could get some culinary training, and we could create a job for Michael and for others, so that they could have a really rich and fulfilling life. And so that's what we did. We put a team together. You'll hear us refer to ourselves as granologists. That's our early team. We've now expanded well beyond that. And uh, we formed a nonprofit 501c3 focusing on training, educating, and employing autistic adults, and doing it in a way where no better way to teach someone to have a job than to actually give them a real job. And so our organization, if you work at Luv Michael, you make at least $15 an hour and up, and you're learning to take and pass the food handler's license exams. You can go off and work in any kitchen, and really creating a beautiful, supportive environment. We have, a gorgeous headquarters now in New York with, a learning center, retail space, and then you see the kitchen where our team is working right now, working on one of our two flavors. We've got an original flavor and a mocha flavor, and it's although it's been sold in 60 different stores. We really struggled with trying to sell granola and support a training education program for autistic adults and create the kind of environment we'd like to create. And for us, guys, it was just so much bigger than selling granola. I prepared a little video to show you the moment that someone gets hired. This is really all about changing lives. So I have a little video here of two of our granologists when they found out that they got their job. And that meaningful moment to them and their family. And I'd love for you to take a look at it, because I think you'll get a little insight into the spirit of our program.
Right, Jen, I'm my best friend. I would really like to offer you a job at Luv Michael. You are doing such an amazing job, so congratulations. All right.
So today, we would like to invite Stephen up to offer you a full uniform.
Oh, really? Wait, this is really happening?
To get a job as a sales ambassador for Luv Michael. Okay?
Thanks, man. Is this really happening?
This is really happening.
This is not a dream, is it?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah.
You want me to pinch you so that you know? It's really happening. Okay, so what?
Hey, this is my first paycheck from Luv Michaels. I love you guys so much. Thank you very much.
So I never get tired of seeing moments like that, and how impactful it is to our granologists' lives and to their families. And as we were thinking about how we could grow this program and bringing it to more places around the country, that's the big question we were focusing on. Is like, once people heard about us and they heard what we were doing, and actually when people started to hear the issues facing autistic adults, they wanted to get involved. They wanted to support this. They wanted to help it move forward. And we realized that, as we're preparing this team of wonderful young adults for the world of work, there's a lot of work to be done outside the bakery in preparing the world for them, because people do not understand autism. They're often not very kind to the autistic community. And that's where advocacy really comes in. So what we've created here is a way for our volunteers to get involved and to do something really special. And we thought and this is what we want to present to you all, and what we've been talking with Ms. Corder about, is what if, as volunteers, you took meaningful action and you walked for autism acceptance and in support of Luv Michael? And what if we did it in a really, really cool way? We have some really amazing technology we're going to share with you tonight that allows you to walk anywhere, anytime, any distance that you choose, and run a campaign for Luv Michael. And you're part of a global walk that's happening right now across the world. And the goal is to make one full lap around the earth, 40,000 kilometers, to walk around the world for autism acceptance. And so we've built a program that really has some incredible value across the board, because what happens is, you, as the person volunteering to do this, we provide some education for you so that you learn about what's happening in the autism community. And then we set you up with a campaign so you can share that and advocate for autism acceptance to the people that you know. And some of those people will hopefully support your campaign. You'll learn, they'll definitely learn, and some of them may actually support you. So our volunteer program is really, at the highest level, two things. It's learning and sharing. So we have a great way for you to learn about what's happening in the autism community, I think in a really innovative way. We've connected with some of the preeminent voices on TikTok in the autistic space in TikTok who are using the platform to educate people about autism. The young woman you see on the screen, her name is Paige Lale. She's 20 years old, autistic herself, out of Ontario, Canada. She has 2.6 million followers. She's using the platform to educate people about autism, but from the perspective of an autistic person. Paige has become a friend of the program. She created a few videos for us. We've put that into a companion toolkit for you so you can learn a little bit about this before your advocacy. Paige asked us to share this video with you. It's really powerful. I know some of you may have seen it on this call, but I'm going to share it again anyway, because she talks about the autism spectrum and really what that means. And I'd love to share that with you because I think you'll learn something new. And she does it in a really cool way. Let's see how my internet plays tonight. We'll see if it... We'll give it a moment. I know social media is having it rough today. Facebook went down, Instagram went down. Hopefully TikTok hasn't gone down today. I'll give it one more refresh. If not, I'll share it with y'all, because I know there's some crazy stuff happening on social media today. Have you guys seen that? Facebook down and Instagram down today? Kind of crazy. All right, I'll come back to that. I'll come back to that and share with you. So one of the tools that we provide for you is these videos, which are like short but really engaging, really powerful. Sorry that video didn't work. And we also have a toolkit for you with that information. And the idea is that you would get this information, and then you'd be able to share that information with your family and friends. And the way we've set that up is you would have a campaign page, and we give you some guidance in having a conversation in which to educate. So what we ask you to do is, reach out to the people that you know, let them know what you're doing. Say, hey, say hi to the person, ask them how they are, let them respond back to you. Likely they're going to ask you what you're up to, tell them you're doing great, you're earning community service hours, advocating for autism acceptance, and just leave it there for a second, because guys, that's really powerful. That statement is really powerful. Let them respond to that. And the second they respond to that is when you can share some of the information, and you can get into the advocacy, like Kylie put up in the quizzes before, get into some of that advocacy about the things that resonated with you. Not everybody knows that there's these issues happening. You can let that person know that you're actually doing something about it. You're sharing the information, but you're also walking for autism acceptance. And they can support you by visiting your page. And you put the link to your campaign page. We ask you to cast a wide net. We ask you to share it with 30 people, give them the opportunity to learn a little bit and support Luv Michael, support your campaign. We ask you to reach out to 15 adults you know. We only want you to talk to people that you know, and 15 peers that you know. And just start this conversation. And you will be amazed, because we see it in the responses from our volunteers. And they come back and say, I learned so much about the people in my circle. I learned how maybe this was impacting their lives. I didn't know that before. Or they opened their minds and they were sharing things back with me. So it's really a powerful experience to do this kind of advocacy. If the people that you share with happen to support you, it's really cool, because we then, if someone does support your campaign, it's going to send a signal back to our bakery. And everyone on this call, you can actually create the meaningful work for our team to do, because if you get a donation, we'll hand make that person granola and hand write them a thank you card, and we'll ship it right to their door, just as a thank you from us for supporting this cause. And that is creating this meaningful work for the team. So you'll see, like, people go to their social media because they get this package in the mail a couple weeks later and say, oh wow, I supported this charity, I supported Kylie, I supported this person who was doing a walk, and I learned a little bit. But then I got handmade granola, which is delicious, and I got a handwritten note. The picture you see, that this person went to their social media and just shared it, like, this is so cool. But that's all work that Orion had to do. It's one of our chronologists. It was paid to do. So it's the meaningful work that we're doing. So your learning and sharing is driving, and taking that meaningful action is driving the meaningful work for our team. And that's what's helping us build this platform and helping us bring this to more families and serve more communities around the country. And one average donation pays for over 2 hours of meaningful work for our chronologists. So really some powerful things that you can do. So it is a pretty simple process. We register, we're going to show you how to do that. Kylie, I know you've already created a campaign page. We did this back about a month ago or so. And the idea here is that on this call, we'll show you how to create a campaign page. We'll give you the links to our server. And really what you're doing is learning, preparing what you're going to say to your family and friends. You're sharing your campaign, and you're going to do that right from your phone. This is all going to happen right from your phone. And I think the nice part about it is I know how busy everyone is. So you can really do this on your own time and sort of fit it into your life. And you can do that outreach when you have the time to do it. Each time you have one of those conversations, you're just going to simply take a screenshot of it and upload it to our server. That's how we know that you're doing the service. On the day of your walk, you're going to pick the date. You decide when you walk, how far you want to go. If chapters would like to do it together, I've had quite a few HOSA groups do that together down in Alabama. They're doing their walks together, and they're doing awesome. We just had a team raise over $6,000 in a week, which is pretty incredible. And they all walked on Friday, which is great. On that date, you just start your little Just Move app, and you can walk around your house. You can walk, in the park. It'll calculate how far you go and add it to our global total. Once you have completed your conversations, you've uploaded your screenshots, we'll provide a link for you to just do a little reflection on your service. What was it like for you? And once you submit that, that's going to let us know that you've completed your service with us. Throughout the time you're working with us, you'll be invited to join us for our weekly hangouts with the chronologists. You can get to meet our team. Those are optional, but we'd love to have you. They are really fun, and the team loves it. I think Jonathan, you saw as a sales ambassador, that's one of the things he does. He leads those calls. He's really awesome at it. And it's a really fun time, so we would love to invite you to that. When you complete, we will issue you a certificate for 40 credit hours of service. If you're working towards it, this is a nationally recognized program. So if you're working towards the President's Volunteer Service Award, our hours are actually recognized by the White House, and that all counts towards your hours of Luv Michael counts towards that medal, which looks great on college applications. I want to share that we want to make it easy for you, and we want to make it meaningful. And that's what we hear from volunteers. I shared this a bit earlier, but it is true. They say things like, I didn't realize I'd get into these, conversations, and people genuinely sounded like, whoa, I didn't realize that. And they kind of, they realize that they're actually making people think, and making people aware and building empathy and understanding. And I'll leave you with this before we take some questions from the group. But this statement has become very powerful for us. Each one of our volunteers talking to 30 people, and 30 conversations can change the world. And when you love someone with autism, that's what you're always concerned about, is what's the world going to be like for them? And often it's not the kindest place. It's not the most accepting place. It's not the most understanding place. The only way to combat that is to start to educate ourselves and to talk to one another. And yes, this is about autism, but it's even more than that, because I believe what this program does is it starts to normalize differences, and it starts to make people more accepting, more empathetic, and more understanding. And that's what your advocacy can do. This statement of learning, advocating, and then taking this meaningful action of walking, it gives people an opportunity to say, they can support you, and they can help us bring this program to more communities. And we really, really need your help. So we're excited to work with FCCLA. I know that we sort of have a mixed audience on this call. So would love to maybe just pause for a moment, Donna, see if there's any questions, and then I can talk about a couple potential ways to that we can get the teams registered, and maybe how to best do that. So I'll pause for a moment and see if we can answer any questions. Any questions out there?
Is there a way you can share that PowerPoint with us so that I could possibly show it to my chapter during a
Yeah,
meeting?
so yeah, we're gonna record. I think we just recorded that, right, Donna? We recorded that, so we'll be able to play that back, so you'll have it. And then if we want to turn it back on once I go to the registration. But Brianna, I could tell you one thing that's really powerful, and I would love to do this is if you set up a meeting, I'd love to present that just so that they have the interaction. And I would do that for any one of your chapters. That's really been the most effective way. Sometimes the video, it can, you can almost check out a little bit. So our team is here to do that. That's why I'm here tonight, is to talk to you about the best way to bring this to your chapters. We've had the most success, like with HOSA groups. We zoom right into the classroom or at the meeting or whatever. Everyone, if you can gather the team together, the chapter together, we can zoom in and we can launch the whole chapter. And that's actually a really cool way to do it because Kylie, I think you might remember this. When we got on the call, we set up by high school chapter. So we sort of set up teams by high school. So I'll share with you, let me just show you what we did create for FCCLA because it is really cool. Bear with me one second. Let me just pull this up and I'll share with you. So we actually created a full website. So FCCLA New Mexico has its own site, and I'll kind of show you how this works. Here, let me share my screen again. But Brianna, this might put it into text for you. So this site is only for FCCLA New Mexico. We have them for other CTSOs. But what we did is I met with Kylie, I met with Zeb, I met with Taylor at one point, and we can create a team for each high school chapter so that when we launch, so if we did a call with your group, Brianna, which high school are you with?
Oregon Mountain. So,
Oh, so you're in, okay, so we could set up with Oregon Mountain and we would actually drive them to join this team right on that page. So they get the presentation and then they can join this team. So you have Oregon Mountain. We've got, is it Raton High School? If I'm not pronouncing it right, I apologize. But yeah, Raton High School, Oregon Mountain. So I could see all the chapters would have their schools and we would do a launch meeting with each one of them. And that's really the most effective way to do this. It can get complicated now if we have a mixed group of people of like, which team do I join? How do I do that? But it's a simple process to sign up. So I would like to show you guys the sign up process, what that looks like. We do it all through QR code. So literally if you have a screen in a meeting or we do a Zoom call, kids just hold up their phone to the screen and it scans them right into to join. So we'll make it pretty simple. But that's a great question, Brianna. So we'll share this presentation, but I'd love to work with you to figure out how to bring it to the chapter and do it live so that they sort of can ask questions and we can launch them. I think that's the most effective way.
okay. Do you want me to put my email or can we get your email?
That would be awesome.
Okay.
That would be awesome.
And Mark, this is
Yes.
something that we could also take to our schools, right?
Absolutely. The idea is to get, as many people to participate as possible. So what we'd really like to do is exactly that, right? So taking it to your high school and letting FCCLA sort of be the leaders in, it could be other clubs that do it. That's okay if there's other students that want to do it, but it's FCCLA that's actually leading this charge and saying, hey, this is about advocacy. So we can certainly bring it to your schools, Evan. If there's a way to have, a meeting with folks, you can help me put that together. That's really what I'm looking to do. It's more than just for the people on this call. I look as the leaders that can help me bring this to schools. It's a great way for them to earn their service hours and tremendously impactful to our organization and the autism community. So I'm going to take, it looks like I got quite a few emails in the chat. That might be one of the best things we could do, Donna, is the folks who would like to bring this to their chapter to just give me their emails. And then I will do a follow-up right after this call, and we can set up times to launch your schools. Like, that's been really, really effective for us.
So, okay, so on the s'more, Mark, then I'll just put, I can put the video of you showing it and then have your email to where they can contact you directly. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying?
I think that would be perfect, because for folks to sort of join, different teams, they might actually want to, it would be nice to do Oregon Mountain High School together, and they say, guys, we're going to go, this is the link, join right here, so that they don't have to go find which school they're with and that sort of thing. And we're happy to do it. We like this. We love talking about this stuff. Well, we're happy to do it. So if you want to put
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Oregon Mountain and Centennial High School, Las Cruces High, and Mayfield were all in the same district, in the same town. So we can have our individual accounts. Could we do a walk, like organize a walk all together for all the schools, and they can all plan together? Okay.
Yes. And Carly, I would love to work on that with you, where like the schools come together, maybe they meet, at a park or the track, and then literally everybody starts their app and they take a lap together, and then all of a sudden, it tallies up and adds up really quick. So we would love to do that with you. So I'll sort of I'll send an email out to each person, and I'll copy my team on as well, and we can schedule these. The biggest thing is if you bring students in, if you bring chapter members in, we feel really confident that when people hear the story, I'll go into a little more detail with them as we're getting into the launch, but that moment, it's more often than not that every single person is like, yeah, I totally do that. I would totally do it. And I know community service hours are kind of tough to come by right now, and everything's kind of up in the air. You don't know like what to do. Well, this allows you to get service hours, but do something really impactful and meaningful. I'll take a look in the chat, make sure I got everybody's.
Mark, how long would you need for a presentation?
I can tailor it. It's best if I have 45 minutes, but if I need to do it in a half an hour, I've done that before too.
We meet during lunch, so.
Okay. Yeah. So Ellie, about how long do you normally have for lunch?
Probably about 35 minutes.
35
By the time
minutes?
I get the kids to the class, we have about 35 minutes.
Ellie, what we might be able to do is maybe I could give a couple links ahead of time, and like maybe one, like the day prior, could ask the kids to like sign up with their campaign page. Like if we eliminate a couple, like that step or two, like, hey, register for this, and then you're going to hear about it tomorrow. That'll take like 10-15 minutes. Like I can just explain, but like, hey, we're going to be doing a project together. You need to register here and create the campaign page, and then once we get into that meeting, we can do that really quickly. So if you're open to that, I would love to help. And is that Volcano Vista High School?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to make a note that that's lunch.
I have another question about the walk part. So when you said they kind of like can turn their app on, is that something that it's like an organized walk, or can it be just like walking in general? Like they're just mindful of turning it on?
Yep. Yeah. So it's pretty cool technology. So we say you can walk, run, bike, or hike, dance, you do whatever. But once you set it up, you just turn it on, and then you can walk around your house and it registers, and you can do it more than once. So it's kind of a cool, flexible technology, and it's more about the spirit of it, right? You're telling people like, hey, I'm gonna take this walk, this meaningful action for autism acceptance, and it sort of gives you the reason of like, well, why are you reaching out to me? Like, you probably wouldn't send a message to someone about autism acceptance kind of out of the blue. So you're saying, hey, I'm part of this community service project. I'm doing it for FCCLA. I'm an advocate for autism acceptance. We're walking around the world collectively, and would love to share with you why we're doing it and ask you if you'd consider supporting it. Maybe that person will click it, maybe not. But it gives you that reason. But then once you do that, yeah, you can get everybody together. They can, they can take a lap around the track. They can walk in the park, or they can walk on their own. Like there's that flexibility too. People can do it, and they can do both. They can do it more than once. So it's not like it's a one and done sort of thing. So yeah, really excited to share this with all of you tonight, and I want to make sure I'm really respectful of everyone's time, Donna. So I can just quickly flash the couple screens of like the registration process, and then Ellie, maybe keep this in mind. I could give these links to you ahead of time, and they would be specific to your school, Volcano. It's a very cool name for a high school, by the way. So you can see here, this is the campaign page. Each chapter will have its own like sub page, but then that'll roll up. So you'll actually see how the schools are doing, how the chapters are doing, and you'll see how the individuals are doing. So you can sort of have some fun with that too. Like, hey, who's doing the best? And then the process to register, the way we do it is we will have them scan. They create their account. So it's this little process here. They put their name in and their email. They set their goal. And then the platform will, like, it almost looks like it's asking them to make a donation. They don't have to do anything there. Just click sign up. They click sign up, and then their campaign page is created. We use Discord as a private server that's monitored. Again, if there's anything that's said in that server that even resembles anything like vulgar, the person is immediately removed. It's set very, very hard. But they use that to upload the screenshots of their conversations. So I can kind of show you, there's like thousands upon thousands of conversations of kids. We have 11,000 volunteers in 29 countries. So you'll even see conversations in other languages. But this is really what they're using Discord for. And then if they need help, we have an Ask Us channel so that they can get some support. And this is monitored. So we'll give them a link for that. And then the last thing we'll give them a link for is what we call our toolkit. And I'll just share this with you guys really quickly with what this looks like, because this is really, really valuable. This is where the learning happens. So this is set up. Let me open it. I even created a version of this for New Mexico. So the students that are in this toolkit sort of set up in like chapters and in sections and chapters. So there's how to set up, how to create your campaign page, information about our Discord server, information about the app, how that works. And then it's really cool. We've got information on Luv Michael, information about autism acceptance. So you'll see and it's really, really well done. It's done by a PhD autistic female out of Rutgers University, mom of an autistic little girl as well. Her name's Robin Rosigno. She's incredible. She created this for us. So again, really great information. They learn about becoming an ally, and then we give them the guidance of how do you have your conversations, reaching out to people, kind of how to craft them. So we really give them that guidance, how to post your screenshots. We got some super cool, like if the kids want to share, I biked around the world, I walked around the world, they can post this on their social if they like. So we give them all the tools to do that. And then once they finish their conversations, they just come down here to the reflection link. They fill that form out, and then we can share that back with chapter leaders if you'd like, just to see what the kids are saying. But it asks some questions like, what impact do you hope you made? And, what did this program mean to you? And that's all part of the toolkit. So we give them the toolkit to guide them along. Plus they have us the whole time. We're here to support them. So process for launching is really just, it's those 3 links. They click those and fill them out, and then they're registered, and we're here to work with them. But I'd love to, connect with you individually and find out, set up a launch date, do this presentation. And that's what I could really use the help with, is sort of corralling the chapter into, hey, we're going to try this, we're going to do it. Every one of those kids gets 40 service hours. The thing I mentioned to Donna is, it's kind of cool about it is, like, how many students students in the chapter about?
Each one is different. So some of them have as many as, Carly, how many is y'all? There's a huge chapter, and there's at least 12 in each chapter, but each chapter is different.
Got it. So, but even 12 students, right? They do the program, they reach 360 people. Like, all of a sudden, very quickly, even just the chapters on this call, if you start adding that up, if there's 10 chapters on this call, and that's 120 kids, all of a sudden you're reaching almost 4,000 people. And that becomes an interesting story to say for FCCLA New Mexico. Like, hey, what'd you guys do this year? Well, we learned out how to be an advocate for autism acceptance. We reached out to 3,000 people, and we walked, and imagine every one of those kids, walks a mile. All of a sudden we walked 120 miles, and we raised X amount of funds, providing X amount of work. Like, it becomes a really beautiful story, and then hugely impactful to our organization moving forward. So we're here to work with you guys in any way possible, and the best way that we've seen it really connect is an individual class or chapter present and get them registered, and we go. And Carly, if there's like 3 or 4 where you were mentioning, to sort of maybe meet ahead of time to figure out what the best way to do that is, because if we can get a date on the calendar and say, we're going to walk on this date, everybody needs to launch, get their campaigns going, and we're going to meet on, it's New Mexico. You don't have Chicago problem. I'm Chicago right now. We're not doing anything in 2 months. No one's going outside in 2 months. But yeah, we would love to work with you on really putting that together, especially with 4 chapters. That could be really powerful, 3 or 4.
How long do the kids have to do is there a time frame for them to get their community service hours?
So there's not, but I do think it's always good to set that date for them. So to set it ahead of time, right? Because then they'll forget about it, right? So it just kind of goes on and on. We have had kids who just forgot, and then all of a sudden they pop up 6 months later, and they're like, oh yeah, here's my campaign. That's okay. But I think if we were to set up ahead of time to say, let's try to get it done within 2 to 4 weeks, something like that. Like, maybe you have a 30-day window that you do it, or something like that. But I'm flexible on how to do it. We say if you have 2 conversations a day, you can probably knock it out in about 2 weeks. And we credit the 40 hours because there's a bit of back and forth. The person might not answer right away. That takes a little bit of time, but it's meaningful.
I'm with Carly. I think that if they do the walk, then you have the deadline of the walk, and then we're, maybe a couple days after that for conversations, and then we're done, because we know how kids are. They'll drag it out forever.
Yeah, I love it. If we set a date, it'll happen. I believe that. If you set a date, they'll work towards it.
They're going to be recognized at the State Leadership Conference. So they have to have all their hours turned in by March 1st for them to be recognized by then.
So just so I make sure that I have everybody's info, because I'm going to put together some emails tonight. It looks like we have we got Farmington High. We've got Centennial High School, Carly. We've got Volcano Vista. Anyone I'm missing? Any chapter that I'm missing that we might want to connect on?
Yes, me. I put my email, but I didn't put which school